Hey, all you creators, I just wanted to give you something today that's really simple that can get you started, get you out of your headspace to just drive forward and be a creator. First thing I want you to do is if you are creating something, or even if you haven't yet, jump in and create something, even if it's small. You can watch this tutorial if you want first. Create something, comment down below what you've created, not ideas on what you want to create. I want you to get out there and make something, even if it's small. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're working on currently. Let's take a look at some of these tools. There's a ton of AI tools out there. They're always changing. I mean, I can hardly keep up with these tools. Now that I have AI agents that can do things for you, it's hard to keep up. But I'm going to give you some real easy basics. And the idea of these basics is they're not going to do everything for you, but they're going to start laying the groundwork so you can jump in, get confident in building and starting things, and just get a few projects under your belt, okay? The idea here isn't to do perfect. The idea isn't to build something and launch it and start making a ton of money. The idea here is to get your feet wet, to start getting confidence in building, and to start understanding the tools. So let's jump into it. The first tool that I'm going to show off here really is Claude, okay? You'll see at the top here, I got a bunch of AI, 5 different AI tools that I use. Claude, I've used quite a bit in the past. We'll talk about Cursor, we'll talk about Replit, we'll talk about Google Gemini, and of course, we'll talk about ChatGPT. Okay, first off, let's talk about Claude. Claude, I used to love to work on in the past. You'll see Claude is one of the main AIs that is used in Cursor. What I loved about this to begin with is the ability to have projects. Now, what you'll see here is in this free version, you won't have the ability to use projects. We'll take a look here at these plans and see what kind of plans they have. So obviously you can do the free Claude. I would recommend jumping into Claude on the free version to just test it out and kind of understand the responses that it gives you. I love the way it kind of puts code in separate areas. I think GPT is now doing that as well, but Claude did a great job at that to help you organize what code it's giving you and explanations underneath that. You'll probably want to use the projects, as you can see here, unlimited projects to organize chats and documents. Now, what does projects mean? Anytime you create a chat here, you can see I already have some chats here for troubleshooting and creating games. Anytime you create a chat, it's going to be a brand new conversation with that AI. In the case of projects or folders, as some of these AI use, you can add documentation, you can add code, you can add structure, you can add explanations to Claude or to these other ones that allow Claude more understanding and more context on how it can respond to you, okay? You gotta think of these as kind of a brand new brain every time you communicate with it, okay? If you're talking to your friend about a new game, you can't just jump into the game and say, man, I was playing this character and I was doing this thing. He's gonna be like, what game are you talking about? What character? Is this, Modern Warfare? Is this World of Warcraft? I don't even know what you're talking about. So you want to give these AI context. Now, in the case of these free plans, you can't pay for every AI. I mean, some of us can, but even myself, I tried the pro version of ChatGPT. I think it was $100 at the time, just for a month, just to try it out. But anyways, you don't always want to pay for every single AI. There's too many. But what I would do here, instead of using a project to begin with, if you're going to use a free version, is to add as much context as possible, okay? That's mainly what I used Claude for. You can get an idea here of some of this previous chats. So you can see it. This is the tactical defense game that I had a conversation with. It went into a lot of the game design. So I said, here's all the context. I'm converting this game into a tactical defense. And I gave it kind of my vision document. So you can see all that context. You can have AI help you create this context as well. But the idea is to give it information, okay? Now you can see here it had a document. It was going to convert this for me or help me convert this into kind of that math game that I was talking about in the previous video, and gave me some ideas on how to convert this. Now, in some cases, I won't go and convert this on my own, right? I'm going to have the AI help guide me through this every step of the way. Anyway, I love the interface on Claude. I've used it extensively. As I mentioned, it's also big in Cursor. What I want to do instead of going over to Cursor next, I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. Very similar to Claude. The interface has been much improved. They do have projects, but again, I think you need to upgrade your plan in order to get access to projects. You can see here in-depth reader, create and use tasks and projects and custom GPTs. And this is the $20 a month plan. So I would recommend using projects when you can. It helps you organize your information and helps the AI get as much context as possible. My workflow usually, depending on what tool I'm using, is to go into ChatGPT to do some research, to get maybe that vision scope down, kind of like that product requirements documentation, that I can get the game design together. To do all that here in GPT. And you can specifically tell it, hey, I don't want you to code anything for me. I want you to just to help me with the documentation. One of the hardest things about communicating with AI is giving it the right information. And I think this is across every industry. There's that old joke that, AI is only going to take over when product managers or when, CEOs know exactly what they want to be built. And so all of our jobs are safe because we never know what we want to build, right? At least in grave detail. So use AI to help you polish what you want, communicate with it, brainstorm with it, share ideas back and forth, and then take that into the tool that you're going to use to build it. So I do that with ChatGPT a bit. There's a bunch of different versions. If you don't have the latest upgrade here, you won't have access to all of these other versions. There's 04 mini, 03, GPT 4.5. Some of these are better at coding. But like I said, if you're just getting started on that free plan, it's fine. Learn the tool, learn how to use it. When you're ready to upgrade or when you have the money to do it, upgrade. Next, what I want to talk about is Cursor. Now, I will show a little more detail in this because I do have this IDE. This is basically used for development, okay? There's a couple of these. I know GitHub has Copilot. The idea here is I want to be in my development environment where I could code if I knew how to, and I want the AI to help me code along the way, okay? Now, Cursor is very unique because it has multiple, you can see here, it's trusted by OpenAI. It has multiple code bases, AI backends that it can use. It can use Gemini, it can use GPT, it can use Claude. And what it'll do is when you ask the agent questions or when you ask the AI questions inside of Cursor, you can say, hey, reference my documentation, reference the code I already have built, and it will default to the best tool that it feels can meet the need for you. So it's really neat. You can actually go in and override that tool as well and say, hey, I don't want to use GPT. I want you to use Claude or Gemini or whatever it may be. But there's also a couple things that are neat about this. You can do inline. So this is kind of an example of how it codes alongside you. You can, if you are a coder, you can jump in here in specific sections and say, hey, fix this section for me or code in this section. Or you can completely just talk to the AI in the agent section in the agent chat and say, hey, look at my code base. My player is not jumping correctly. Please fix the jump mechanic. And then it'll go in and give you suggestions and edit it for you. Cursor is super powerful. I'm going to jump over to Gemini next. One thing that I've really enjoyed about Gemini, which I don't have a preview for you, is its ability to reason. And what I mean is I've used it for SQL queries. If you have a database, you can give it information for that database and you can say, I want you to look at this structure and I want you to answer some analytical questions for me. So maybe you have Google Analytics on your page. Maybe you have other database, Snowflake, something like that. And you can give it that table and you could say, here's all the information I have. Here's my funnel metrics. Here's my in-app purchases or my subscriptions. Here's the people that come in and leave. Take a look at my data and give me kind of, my customer acquisition cost, or give me, my lifetime value. You can ask it questions, and you can probably do this with any AI, but I've used Gemini more for kind of those SQL queries that it'll just pull up that information for you. And if you have a tool where you can query your database, it's awesome for just writing those for you. I think SQL is an interesting language. I don't know how to code it from scratch. I don't know how to code anything from scratch. I can read HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, some C Sharp, but I generally don't code any of those from scratch. And in most cases, for simple things, that's what I would use Gemini for. But you could use it for other coding too. It's got a lot of coding. This one, I think 2.5 Pro is good for math and coding. You could do the same thing. So a lot of these will cover different bases. A lot of them do similar things. Now, one tool that I think is really unique here is Replit. I love Replit. I probably go back and forth between Cursor and Replit depending on what I'm building. Now, what would I use them for? For Replit, I would use this for building a web app. Now, why is that? Replit is so connected to the internet already that it can do things for you that you thought maybe I would never even get to this point, okay? And what do I mean by that? You can tell Replit to create a game for you, to create cloud save, and to save that you want to save information somewhere. You may not even know where, right? It can then suggest something like Firebase or Firestore, which is a database on Google, and it can tell you how to set up that database for player save information, which is incredible. And it'll mostly set it all up for you. If not, it'll guide you to, obviously creating an account on Firestore, and then it'll tell you how to get the API key so you can pull it over into Replit. But then it'll start being able to post and pull information to that database. It's incredible. I actually want to just use an example here to just create something, because they drop you right into their tool that will be basically their agent. So let's say I want to create a simple side scroller game that we should try to recreate whimsical, right? That is a wisp flying through the air. It falls due to gravity, and the background screen is constantly moving sideways. The goal is to avoid running into, let's say, trees and that are near the ground. Let's create a simple web game with this idea. Now, that's not enough information in my mind. I am probably not going to be surprised that it's going to do something and figure out how to do it for you, okay? Obviously, there's a lot of little welcome screens here. Let's see what it's actually going to do, okay? I'll help you create a side-scrolling game where players control a wisp flying through the air while avoiding trees. Let me propose a detailed plan for this project. So that's how incredible the state of AI is right now. You don't even really need a detailed plan. Now, I think you should come in with a plan. I think you should come in with a plan a lot more than that. Like I said, go to ChatGPT, come up with a plan, come with a vision, think about the game design pieces, think about where you want to go. You could even ask it how you want to build. I want to use Next.js. I want to use Phaser. I want to, like, where do you want to deploy? I want to deploy on the web. I want to play on mobile. I want to play on Steam or my desktop. Get some of those details down, okay? So let's see, it says a side-scrolling game. Yes, would you like any of these additional features? Add particle effects. Yeah, that'd be cool. Implement difficulty progression, increasing speed over time. Yeah, add power-ups that provide temporary abilities, create different environment theme backgrounds. Yeah, let's see what it does. Let's say, yeah, do all those great things. Now, of course, this is thinking, it's saying, okay, how do I put this together? What it's going to do right now is it's going to build the structure of our app all within the browser. And then it's going to deploy a temporary version, a local version of this app for you. Now you will have a link to that deployment. You can share that link briefly. It's only going to be live for, I think, a few hours at most, maybe a half hour. But you can also deploy it to a permanent link that they give you. I do remember when I first signed up for the free version here. Obviously, we're letting this work behind the scenes. The free version only gives you, I think, like 10 hours of work. So I would not recommend leaving this window open, and coming back to it 10 hours later. You may realize, oh, I'm out of free time. That's weird. I didn't really get to do anything. So I would do what you can to play with it. If you're building something, use it. If you're not, close out of it. I don't know if they still do that, but I did think that was an interesting kind of way to gauge people's use of the product instead of seeing, how many tokens they use or whatnot. Okay, So let's see what it's actually doing here. We should be able to see the file tree. You can see here there's already a lot going on. There's client server, there's a lot of information. Let's see, there's icons. I don't know what icon is generated. I don't know if that's going to use that. That's interesting. Maybe that's the Wisp. It's using Tailwind. It's using Vite. You don't even have to know what this stuff is, right? It's using TypeScript. That's index.ts. So it's already created a ton of information for us. Okay, let's go back to the agent and see. It's creating right now a collision system. I mean, Replit is just incredible. I definitely encourage you to learn from this, to build something with Replit, and to really see the magic that's behind this AI. So I'm probably going to speed up here. It may take a couple minutes to finish. That way I don't bore you with kind of the details here of it finishing creating this app for us. Okay, we pulled forward a little bit. It took about 5 minutes or so for the AI to figure out what was going on. As you can see now, it's starting to run this Wisp game in the background. I didn't anticipate it to be kind of this 3D look. I thought it would be completely 2D. Now, there's obviously some things wrong with it, but look at this. It's running. I mean, it's got this kind of Wisp animation on the inside. What are those little things that are floating around inside? I mean, it's really neat. It's got these trees that are flying by. You know, I'm still running into them. It has shadows, like none of that I asked for, but it's really neat. Now, yes, it needs a lot of work, but this is like 10 minutes of you prompting with 2 sentences and having the AI just do work for you while you wait. So that is kind of what is awesome about Replit. It really, I think, excels on web-based things. I would even say if you went into, let's say we go back into Replit, create me a website that shows off an arcade list of games and has a neat retro vibe style, and also has a counter on the top right of how many tokens a player has, and each game requires tokens to play. Make up some game images and ideas just for the web prototype. I don't need any playable games, just the website idea. So let's see how fast it'll build this. Obviously, the other one is a bit more complex. It kind of just went into this whole new world that I didn't expect, right? But I think Replit really excels at building web-based things with limited information, including prototypes. And if it's using React, JavaScript, HTML and CSS, I think it really excels at getting something fast and quick out the door. So let's see what this does for another minute, and then we'll jump into Unity and Cursor so I can give you a little overview on how those things work. So let's see what it says. Add a mock game preview functionality, implement token purchase interface, no, create user profile section, add leader. I mean, I don't want it to go crazy, but I don't know. Let's just approve it all and just see what happens. I don't think it's going to create games. It'll at least create like a mock game interface for us. But let's see what it does visually. I think this will be a lot faster than the game itself. But the idea here isn't that we always want to make something in 10 minutes, right? We want to use the tools we have to learn, to build quality games, and to build on top of those features that we started with. But I just, at this point, we're just showing you tools that work to build these things. All right, let's see what it's doing. Look at this. Retro arcade. I mean, it's building it right in front of us, right? Isn't this cool? Step into the neon-soaked world of classic gaming. Insert tokens, beat high scores, become a legend. What is this? Is that an AI image? Like, it's pulling Mario in? Yeah, you got to be careful with some of this, right? But this is amazing, right? It's just building it right before our eyes. This is a visual preview, so it's not really clickable or interactable. But anyways, you get the idea. I don't want to harp on this too long. Get Replit, use it, check it out. Now, what I want to do is jump into Cursor. Now, this is a sample game. Instead of jumping into Cursor, what I'll do, Cursor is an IDE. It's what developers use to code, right? Um, Cursor, as I mentioned earlier, has the ability to bring in uh, certain kind of code. Let's see, if we go to models here on the left-hand side, you'll see it has a whole list of models that you can use. So it's kind of neat. It's like the best of both worlds. Like you're able to read the code, look at it, you're able to highlight the code, pick specific like scripts, like this script here is a game manager script. And I could pull this into this chat up here and say, hey, looking at my game manager, my game doesn't do XYZ. Help me fix that. So Cursor's really neat. But what I want to do before we go any further into that is I want you to take a look at Unity, because this game, that's what we were looking at in Cursor, was this game. This is the Unity interface. You don't have to know the interface yet, but you can use AI to learn it. I just wanted to show you what AI mostly built, okay? Now, in this game, I did create some assets. I did create kind of this space game feel. I did have some music that I had pulled in originally. But the idea here is you can use AI to help you build a quick interface. Here's some of the, the ship that I had built. I actually had someone on Fiverr help me do this. It helps me kind of build a position zombie survival, right? Those kind of games, but it has a game over screen, try again screen, all that. So you can create really easy, simple, fun games. This game, I think, mostly the animations too. It's just to understand and learn. It's not as easy just to cut the animations and tell it what you want to do. But I obviously need someone to help me create those animations. You get the using Cursor to do this. Let's go back to Cursor, and I'll give you a sample. If you go into that chat, I could say the game manager is here. I could say when the game manager may not be the right thing. So we have no context right now. Look into my code. Right now, when the ship dies, the game kind of freezes a bit, and I have a game over screen. And you make a quick explosion effect when the player dies. Again, super simple idea, hoping that this can go and find the context for that. And you can just see this thing already burning through. So the game manager was the appropriate place to do this. But let's see what this does, okay? It's telling you what it's done. This is incredible, right? Let's accept the changes. Let's go back to Unity. And let's see how it did on these changes, okay? Unity is gonna have to load a little bit so you can see it's pulling in those changes from that script. We'll press play. We'll have the ship die pretty much immediately, and we'll see how this did, okay? Just a sample, just an example of what you can do with Cursor, okay? This could totally backfire, but we're gonna find out. Let's get hit. Okay, there was a little bit of explosion. It wasn't not great. Let's try it again and see if maybe we get more of the ships in the area. I don't know what it used. If it used the asteroids to explode, I think it did use them. Yeah, that was a lot better, right? It wasn't. So anyway, that really is just what I wanted to show you. I wanted to go over some of these AI tools, kind of give you a baseline to start playing with them. And as I mentioned before, if you're building something, even if it's small, like I just showed on that website, comment below on what you're building, leave a link or a way for people to access it. I just want to see what you're doing and what you're using AI for. In these next videos, I'm going to go deeper into Unity and building in Unity. That's going to be my engine of choice, if you will. I'll probably make a video on why I chose to go with Unity. But thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to this little brief on AI and game development. And I hope that you just come along with me in this journey, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.